Penguin Random House Canada Audio presents Dreaming Sally, a true story of first love, sudden death, and long shadows by James FitzGerald. Read for you by Thomas Hauff, Mikaela Dyke, and Jesse Lavercombe. Prologue. No wonder I'm feeling anxious. Over 4 decades have passed since I saw George Orr, back in the 60s, back when we both loved an 18-year-old girl named Sally. Our adolescent triangle was undone by a catastrophe as sudden as it was uncanny, yet an unspoken bond has endured between us. Unspoken till now. It's an October Sunday in 2010. And on the 5-hour flight from my home in Toronto to his in Vancouver, I mull over our recent exchange of emails. After years of hesitation, I have asked permission to capture the full story, our story, in a book. Or will George think of it as strictly his story? Only if he consents will I plunge in. He loves and hates the idea of my writing about Sally and her impact on our lives. Yes, a book can heal, but a book can re-traumatize. After the summer of Sally, we both became journalists, lurking on the thresholds of power, sticklers for the facts, maybe even the truth. Yet George, a gifted professional communicator, has never been able to bring himself to record his version of events of August 1968. In his late 20s, George quit Toronto to reinvent himself in British Columbia. Now, in his 60s and twice divorced, George has at last found happiness with Anne, his third attempt at a life partner. His 3 children know nothing of the turbulence of his youth, but he felt compelled to show my email about Sally to his 26-year-old daughter Lily, and her response was swift. "Dad, you're a journalist. You expect people to open up to you. What goes around, comes around." And so George emailed back, "I respect my daughter's opinion. I'm in." After checking into a North Vancouver bed and breakfast, I find my way to his address at the appointed hour of noon. As I descend a steep driveway leading to his split-level house, as I ring the doorbell, I remember our first and only meeting shortly after Sally's death. The image of George's bearded Byron-esque face, brooding, forbidding, looking half-mad, had been permanently branded on my memory. When the door swings open, the face appears, now clean-shaven and crowned with silver hair. His smile and handshake break the tension faster than I imagined. When he introduces his partner, Anne, I'm struck by her physical similarity to Sally, especially the contours of her eyes and mouth. I blurt, "Thank you for tolerating my intrusion." She murmurs some reassuring words, but I can sense that she's uncomfortable with my mission. Why wouldn't she be, knowing the shadow that Sally has cast on her partner? After lunch in a glassed atrium overlooking Burrard Inlet, George leads me down to a cluttered basement office. I know my end of the story, but not his, and vice versa. When I pull out my digital recorder, he smiles wryly. He knows my reputation as a buster of secrets through my 2 published books, Old Boys, an oral history in which I invaded the privacy of 300 graduates of Upper Canada College, the exclusive Toronto boys' private school to which we were both indentured at birth, and What Disturbs Our Blood, a dark family memoir in which the privacy I invaded was my own. As we talk, the connections and similarities between us pile up like a bed of falling leaves. If we are not full-fledged doppelgangers, we are close enough. We both have younger brothers named Michael, whom we initially treated cruelly, then reconciled with. We both love music passionately, yet never picked up an instrument. Both of our paternal grandfathers served as majors in World War I. His grandfather founded an insurance company which his father obediently took over. My grandfather founded a medical laboratory, and my father similarly followed suit. Both our fathers were old boys of Upper Canada College, both naval officers scarred by the horrors of the North Atlantic, each of their combat vessels sinking a single Nazi U-boat, both becoming functioning Irish-blooded addicts, radiating the charm of Irish-blooded addicts. Both our mothers went to the same private school, St. Clement's in Toronto, and both were bright, iron-willed, housebound old girls, chronically resentful of the weaker sex known as husbands. Their charming husbands. Each set of parents, Orr and FitzGerald, envied their children and the emerging personal freedoms of the 60s. The attitude they projected toward their children was implicit, but all the more coercive for that. Reach for the sun, but never outshine us. George and I had evolved along parallel tracks into tellers of stories, iconoclasts and ironists of Irish outsider temperament and inclination, uncomfortable with, even contemptuous of, our inherited class privilege. The best part of our privilege was the freedom to have our cake and spit it out. One of my own preoccupations, the emotional vulnerabilities of men, especially leaders, born or made, strikes close to George's heart. George reveals that he was a classmate of Michael Ignatieff, an Upper Canadian, white Russian aristocrat groomed for greatness. They both were precocious. High expectations dogged their paths. Nothing short of the Prime Minister's office would do. For different reasons, that destiny remains unfulfilled. Why does George's path seem so mysteriously intertwined with mine? Why over the years has something compelled us both to hoard transcripts, letters, photos, artifacts, mementos? Why do we collect evidence and stock our memory palaces to the point of overkill? Why do we love the same films, the same books, right down to the same bars of music, the same poetic and comical phrases? Why were we crazy about the same girl? It feels like we're archetypal characters in an unfinished, unfinishable novel, I tell him. Who were those guys all those years ago? What happened to them? Where did they go or not go? I hear footsteps on the basement stairs. It's Anne coming down to check the spinning clothes dryer. Her eyes say it all. Why is this stranger opening up old wounds? But she's too late. We've already embarked on a mutually risk-fraught experiment in honesty. 3 hours have passed. Or is it more like 42 years? As I follow George to the door, we pass by a cardboard box stuffed with old letters. George takes one off the top and thrusts it into my hand. This is the last letter Sally wrote me from West Germany that summer. I never read it. Too painful. Take it with you. For a moment, I feel as if the basement is flooding. Sally's favorite song was The Letter by the Box Tops. We danced to it all that summer. Instantly, I am pulled back to that overcast Tuesday afternoon of August 13th, 1968, a day when entire worlds died and others were born. The day Sally died. Part 1. We each experience the world as the inside of our mother's body. Melanie Klein. Chapter 1. James loves Sally. From the backseat window of my mother's Nash Rambler, I counted the short white lines stitching the black asphalt, the monotonous zipper of Highway 11 lulling me into a low-grade trance. The 50-mile trip due north of Toronto unfolded with the unbearable slowness only a child knows. To kill time, I played obsessive word and number games in my head. I am 10 years and 11 months old. Highway 11, take me to heaven, interrupting myself only to ask,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?